Welcome back to Daily English Talk. I'm Emily, and I'm so glad you're joining us today. We've got a fantastic topic lined up that's absolutely essential for anyone learning English, especially beginners who are looking to build confidence. Today, we're going to dive deep into talking about what you like to do. This isn't just a simple question. It's a gateway to deeper conversations. Think about it. When you meet someone new, what's one of the first things you often ask or get asked? It's usually about hobbies, interests, or what fills your free time. This is such a crucial skill because it's one of the most common and natural ways to start a conversation, get to know someone, and truly build connections. It helps you share a bit about yourself, your personality, and what makes you unique, while also learning about others. This makes forming new friendships and understanding different cultures much easier. And to help us demonstrate this naturally, I'm thrilled to introduce our wonderful conversational partners for today, Paul and Hasib.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be back on Daily English Talk, Emily. I'm really looking forward to this topic.
Hello, everyone. I agree, Paul. Talking about what you like is such a fundamental part of everyday communication. It's how we find common ground.
Exactly. That's perfectly put, Hasib. And that's precisely what we want our listeners to hear today. Paul and Hasib are here to have a completely natural, unscripted conversation, just like you'd overhear or participate in during real life. We want you to listen closely to how they ask questions, the different ways they respond, and the useful vocabulary they naturally incorporate. Don't worry if you don't understand every single word. That's perfectly normal. The main goal is to get a feel for the flow, the intonation, and the general meaning of their exchange. Try to pick up on key phrases and how they transition from one idea to the next. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Paul, Hasib, are you both ready to kick off this conversation about your favorite things to do?
Absolutely, Emily. I've got a few things in mind already.
Ready when you are. I'm keen to hear what Paul enjoys, too.
Wonderful. Paul, let's start with you. What kinds of things do you really enjoy doing in your free time, especially when you have a whole weekend to yourself?
That's a great question, Emily. When I have a free weekend, I usually try to unwind. One of my favorite things to do is read.
Oh, reading. That's wonderful. What kind of books do you usually go for? Fiction, nonfiction, or something else?
I mostly enjoy historical fiction or sometimes a good mystery novel. It helps me escape for a bit, get lost in another world.
I completely understand that feeling. Escapism through books is truly a gift. Do you have a favorite author or a particular book you'd recommend right now?
A favorite author is tough. There's so many. But I recently finished The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and it was quite thought-provoking.
Oh, I've heard good things about that one. So, besides reading, is there anything else you like to do to relax or have fun?
Yes, definitely. If the weather's nice, I love going for a long walk. It's a simple pleasure, but it helps clear my head and get some fresh air.
I agree, Paul. There's something so refreshing about a good walk. Do you have a favorite spot to walk?
I often walk along the river near my house. It's quite peaceful there. Sometimes I listen to a podcast, but often I just enjoy the quiet.
That sounds lovely, Paul. A peaceful walk by the river. Do you ever go hiking or anything more adventurous?
Not so much hiking, no. I prefer flatter paths, but I do enjoy exploring new parts of the city on foot sometimes, discovering new cafes or parks.
That's a great way to get to know a city better. I often find hidden gems that way. Do you usually go alone or with someone?
Usually alone, actually. It's my time to just wander and observe.
So, Paul, if you had a completely free day with no obligations, would it be a day of reading, walking, or something else entirely?
I think it would be a mix. A bit of reading in the morning, maybe a walk in the afternoon, and then perhaps cooking a nice meal in the evening.
Ah, cooking. That's another great hobby. Do you enjoy cooking specific cuisines, or is it more about experimenting?
I like to experiment, but I also have a few go-to comfort food recipes. Italian dishes are often a favorite.
Italian food is fantastic. Do you make your own pasta, Paul?
Not usually. I haven't quite mastered that yet, but I do enjoy making sauces from scratch.
That still counts. Making sauces from scratch can be very rewarding. So it sounds like your ideal free time involves a good balance of quiet activities and a bit of culinary creativity.
Yes, I think that sums it up pretty well. I like a bit of calm, but also a chance to create something delicious or see something new.
And what about with friends or family? Do your hobbies change when you're with others?
Oh, absolutely. When I'm with friends, it's more about going out for coffee, maybe catching a movie, or just having a good chat over dinner.
So, more social activities then.
Exactly. Reading and walking are often solitary, but I definitely value time with people too.
That makes perfect sense. It's good to have a balance of both. So, Paul, if someone were to ask you, what do you like to do? Your main answer would probably be reading, walking, and cooking, right?
Yes, those are definitely my top 3 for personal downtime. They're reliable ways for me to relax and recharge.
Excellent. These are such great examples of simple yet meaningful activities. And notice how Paul used simple sentences to describe them, which is perfect for our beginners. Hasib, are you starting to get some ideas about what you might share when it's your turn? I'm curious if your interests align with Paul's at all.
Definitely, Emily. Paul's quiet activities sound really appealing, especially the reading. But I think my free time looks a little different.
Oh, really? I'm intrigued. What kind of things do you usually get up to, Hasib?
Well, I'm quite an active person, so I love playing sports. Football, or soccer as some call it, is a big one for me.
Ah, football. That's a very popular one. Do you play on a team, or is it more casual?
I play in a local league, actually. We have a game almost every weekend. It's a great way to stay fit and socialize.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I used to play a bit in school, but I was never very good. Do you play any other sports?
Sometimes I'll play basketball with friends, or go for a run if I can't get a game of football in. But football is definitely my main passion.
So, when you're not on the pitch, what else fills your free time?
Good question. Besides sports, I also really enjoy cooking. Similar to you, Paul, but I tend to focus on different cuisines.
Oh, that's interesting. What kind of cuisines do you usually explore?
I'm a big fan of South Asian cooking. I love experimenting with different spices and trying to recreate dishes I've tasted during my travels.
That sounds delicious. Do you have a signature dish, or something you're particularly proud of making?
I think my biryani is getting pretty good. It takes a long time, but it's so rewarding when it turns out right.
Wow, biryani from scratch. That's impressive. I stick to Italian, which feels a bit simpler.
It definitely takes some practice, and a lot of different ingredients. But I find it very relaxing, actually, the process of chopping and blending.
So, cooking and sports. Do you have any other creative outlets or ways you unwind?
Yes, I also really enjoy photography. It's a newer hobby for me, but I love capturing moments, especially when I'm out exploring.
Oh, that's a cool one. What kind of photography do you do? Landscapes, street photography, portraits?
Mostly landscapes and street photography. I love finding interesting angles and light in everyday scenes. It makes me look at the world differently.
That's a wonderful way to combine exploration with creativity. Do you share your photos online anywhere?
Sometimes on a private social media account. It's more for myself, though, a way to document my experiences.
So, if you had a whole weekend, would it be a mix of sports, cooking, and photography?
Absolutely. A morning football game, then maybe spending the afternoon trying a new recipe, and perhaps a walk with my camera in the evening.
That sounds like a very full and active weekend. A great contrast to Paul's more quiet approach, but both sound equally fulfilling.
I think it's about finding what recharges you, right? For me, it's a mix of being active and creating something.
I completely agree. It's about personal preference. I admire your energy, Hasib.
Me too. And it's fantastic to hear such a different set of interests. It really shows how varied people's hobbies can be. So, Hasib, if someone were to ask you, what do you like to do? What would be your go-to answers?
I'd definitely say playing football, cooking, and photography. Those are the things that truly make me happy in my free time.
All great ways to spend your time. And you've got some impressive skills there, Hasib, with the biryani and the photography.
Thanks, Paul. It's all about practice, right?
Exactly. And that's a perfect point for our listeners. When you're talking about your hobbies, don't be afraid to share details or express your enthusiasm. Notice how Hasib used words like passion, rewarding, and relaxing to describe his feelings about his hobbies. Exactly. And that's a perfect point for our listeners. When you're talking about your hobbies, Don't be afraid to share details or express your enthusiasm. Notice how Hasib used words like passion, rewarding, and relaxing to describe his feelings about his hobbies. Now, before we move on, I want to take a moment to highlight some of the fantastic vocabulary and phrases Paul and Hasib naturally used. These are perfect for describing your own hobbies and making your conversations more engaging. Let's start with some of Paul's phrases. Paul, you mentioned you usually try to unwind on a free weekend. Can you tell us a bit more about what that means for you?
Sure, Emily. For me, unwind just means to relax, to let go of any stress from the week. It's about doing something calm and enjoyable.
Exactly. Unwind is a great verb to use when you want to say you're relaxing after a busy period. It's like untying a knot, releasing tension. Try saying it with me. Unwind. The stress is on the second syllable.
It's a really useful word. I often feel the need to unwind after a busy day at work.
Great example, Hasib. And Paul, you also said that reading helps you get lost in another world. That's such a vivid expression.
Yes, it means to become completely absorbed in something. So much so that you forget about your own surroundings and just focus on the story.
Perfect. So when you're deeply focused on a book, a movie, or even a game, you can say you get lost in it. It implies a wonderful sense of immersion. Let's practice. Get lost in. Notice how lost in blends together a little.
I definitely get lost in a good football match sometimes.
That's a perfect example, Hasib. You're so focused, you forget everything else. Another great phrase Paul used was clear my head. Paul, what does that mean when you go for a walk?
It means to remove all the busy thoughts or worries from my mind. The fresh air and quiet help me think more clearly.
Excellent. Clear my head is a fantastic idiom for when you need to relieve mental stress or confusion. It's like sweeping away the clutter. Say it with me. Clear my head.
I often go for a run to clear my head. It really helps.
Fantastic. Now, let's look at some of the phrases Hasib used. Hasib, you said you're quite an active person and you love playing sports, specifically football.
Yes, active person just means I like to be physically busy, not sitting still too much. And playing sports is a general term for games like football, basketball, or tennis.
That's right. Active person is a great way to describe someone who enjoys physical activities. And playing sports is a fundamental phrase for talking about hobbies. Let's try saying active person and then playing sports.
I think many people can relate to wanting to be an active person, even if they don't play competitive sports.
Absolutely, Paul. Hasib, you also mentioned you play in a local league. What does a local league mean?
A local league is a group of teams that play against each other, usually from the same town or area. It's more organized than just a casual game.
That's a key piece of vocabulary for sports enthusiasts. It specifies a more structured level of play. Say local league with me. The stress is on low, cal, and league.
It sounds like a great way to meet people and stay committed to a sport.
Indeed. And Hasib, when you talked about cooking, you mentioned experimenting with different spices and making biryani from scratch. These are wonderful details.
Experimenting with spices means trying new combinations or amounts of different spices to see what tastes good. And from scratch means making something completely yourself, starting with all the basic ingredients, not using a pre-made mix.
Those are two incredibly useful phrases for cooking enthusiasts. Experimenting shows creativity, and from scratch really highlights the effort and skill involved. Let's practice experimenting with spices and then from scratch. Notice the emphasis on scratch.
I definitely don't make my Italian sauces from scratch in the same way Hasib makes biryani from scratch. That's a big difference.
It certainly is, Paul, and that's okay. It shows the spectrum of cooking as a hobby. Hasib, you also said you enjoy capturing moments with your photography, especially street photography.
Capturing moments means taking pictures of specific times or events that are special or interesting. And street photography is a style where you take pictures of everyday life in public places, like streets or parks.
Excellent explanations. Capturing moments expresses the artistic and personal side of photography, and street photography is a specific genre. Let's try capturing moments and street photography.
Capturing moments is a beautiful way to put it. It's more than just taking a photo. It's preserving a memory.
Exactly, Paul. And finally, a word both of you use to describe the feeling your hobbies give you. Recharge. Paul, you said your hobbies help you recharge. And Hasib, you said it's about finding what recharges you.
For me, recharge means to regain energy, both physical and mental, after feeling tired or drained.
Yes, it's like plugging in a phone to get its battery full again. My activities help fill me up with energy.
What a perfect analogy, Hasib! Recharge is a brilliant verb to describe how hobbies replenish your energy and make you feel ready for new challenges. It's much more descriptive than just saying, feel better. Let's say recharge together. The stress is on the second syllable. Recharge. So, as you can hear, these phrases are not only useful, but also add depth and color to your descriptions. By using words like unwind, get lost in, clear my head, active person, playing sports, local league, from scratch, capturing moments, and recharge, you can paint a much clearer picture of what you enjoy. Paul and Hasib, do you have any other common words or short phrases that you often use when talking about your hobbies that we haven't mentioned yet?
I often say something is my thing. Like, reading is really my thing, to mean it's something I particularly enjoy or am good at.
My thing! That's a fantastic, informal expression. It's very natural. Reading is my thing, or cooking is my thing. Great one, Paul.
I sometimes use I'm keen on something, like I'm keen on trying new recipes, or I'm keen on playing football. It means I'm enthusiastic about it.
Keen on. Another excellent phrase for expressing enthusiasm and interest. I'm keen on is a bit more formal than my thing, but still very common. I'm keen on something. These are all such valuable additions. Thank you both. It really shows how many different ways there are to express what you like to do. Now, our listeners have heard you both talk about your individual interests. But what happens when your interests overlap? Or when you want to find common ground with someone? Let's explore how you might transition from talking about your own hobbies to finding out what someone else likes and how you can react to their interests. Paul, you mentioned earlier that you enjoy going out for coffee or catching a movie with friends. How do you usually suggest these activities or find out if your friends are interested?
Well, if I'm suggesting something, I might just say, hey, fancy grabbing a coffee? But if I want to know what they prefer, I'll usually ask something like, what are you in the mood for?
That's a good approach. It leaves it open for them to suggest something different.
Exactly. And that leads us perfectly into our next focus, asking others about their interests. Paul, Hasib, let's demonstrate some common ways to ask someone what they like to do, from direct to casual. What's the most common, straightforward question?
What do you like to do? Simple and effective.
Yes, that's the classic. Easy for anyone to understand.
Perfect. What do you like to do? Your general, all-purpose question. Now, to guide towards leisure, how would you ask about free time?
What do you enjoy doing in your free time?
Or how do you usually spend your free time for their routines?
Both excellent. What do you enjoy doing in your free time? And how do you usually spend your free time? Are great for focusing on leisure. They subtly prompt for hobbies. Paul, can you say, what do you enjoy doing in your free time?
What do you enjoy doing in your free time?
Hasib, how do you usually spend your free time?
How do you usually spend your free time?
Wonderful. Now, for directly using the word hobbies.
What are your hobbies? Very direct.
It is. Good for finding main interests. Perhaps slightly more formal.
Good point. What are your hobbies? Is clear and direct. Let's practice that. What are your hobbies?
What are your hobbies?
What are your hobbies?
Excellent. And for more casual settings, with friends?
So, what do you get up to? Very relaxed.
Yes. What do you get up to? Or what's been keeping you busy?
Fantastic, Paul and Hasib. What do you get up to is common in British English, and what's been keeping you busy is great for a casual catch-up. They show relaxed interest. Paul, what do you get up to?
What do you get up to?
Hasib, what's been keeping you busy?
What's been keeping you busy?
Great. So we've covered what do you like to do, what do you enjoy doing in your free time, how do you usually spend your free time, what are your hobbies, what do you get up to, and what's been keeping you busy. A great range for our listeners.
It shows the flexibility of English, adapting your question to the situation.
Exactly. And using these different phrases makes your conversation sound more natural.
Absolutely. Choosing the right phrase shows confidence and fluency. So, listeners, try experimenting with these different ways to ask about someone's interests. It will open up so many more natural conversations. Now, once you've asked the question, the next crucial step is how to respond, and then how to keep that conversation flowing. Let's delve into that next. All right, let's do it. Paul, Hasib, let's imagine I've just asked you, what do you like to do? How would you answer using the phrase, I like to... Paul, why don't you start?
Okay, Emily. I like to read historical fiction. It's my favorite way to relax.
That's a clear and direct answer, Paul. I like how you added the type of reading you prefer.
Excellent, Paul. Short, sweet, and informative. Hasib, how about you? What do you like to do? Using that same phrase.
I like to play football with my local team. We have a match almost every weekend.
Perfect. Both of you gave a direct answer and then added a small detail which makes it much more interesting. Now, what if you wanted to use I enjoy, Paul?
I enjoy going for long walks, especially by the river. It really helps me clear my head.
I can relate to that. I enjoy being active, like going for a run or playing basketball with friends.
Notice how both Paul and Hasib used a gerund, the ing form of the verb after enjoy. Going and being active. That's a common grammatical structure with enjoy. Very well done.
It feels very natural to say it that way.
It absolutely does. Now, let's try I'm into. This one's a bit more casual. Hasib, what are you into?
I'm really into photography right now. I love street photography and capturing everyday moments.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm into cooking, especially experimenting with Italian dishes.
Great examples. I'm into clearly shows enthusiasm. It's a fantastic phrase for expressing a strong interest in something. Listeners, try saying I'm into with an activity you love.
It sounds quite modern, too.
Yes, it does. Now, for a slightly more formal but still common way to answer, my hobby is... Paul?
My hobby is reading. I find it's the best way to unwind after a busy week.
And my hobby is playing football. It's a great way to stay fit and socialize at the same time.
Both very clear. My hobby is straightforward and leaves no room for doubt about what you enjoy. Let's try another one. I'm a big fan of... This really shows your passion. Hasib, what are you a big fan of?
I'm a big fan of South Asian cooking. I love trying new recipes, especially biryani.
I'm a big fan of mystery novels. There's nothing like trying to solve a puzzle as you read along.
Fantastic. I'm a big fan of is perfect when you want to convey genuine enthusiasm. You can use it for hobbies, sports teams, music, anything you feel strongly about.
Makes it sound like you really care about it.
Exactly. And how about what I really love is? This emphasizes what's most important to you. Paul?
What I really love is having a quiet morning to read with a cup of coffee. That's pure bliss for me.
I can imagine. What I really love is the feeling after a good football match, especially if we win. The adrenaline is amazing.
Wonderful! You both painted such vivid pictures with that phrase. What I really love is truly highlights your top passions. And finally, let's consider I spend a lot of my time. This gives a sense of how much you dedicate to an activity. Hasib?
I spend a lot of my time on the football pitch or in the kitchen, cooking up new dishes.
I spend a lot of my time either with my nose in a book or out exploring new parts of the city on foot.
Excellent. That phrase gives context to your hobbies, showing they're not just occasional activities, but a significant part of your free time. So, listeners, you've just heard a variety of ways to answer the question, what do you like to do? We had, I like to, I enjoy, I'm into, my hobby is, I'm a big fan of, what I really love is, and I spend a lot of my time. And crucially, Paul and Hasib didn't just give one-word answers. They added a little bit more detail, like the type of books, where they walk, what kind of cooking, or the specific type of photography.
Adding those details makes the conversation much more interesting, I think. It gives the other person something to ask about.
Absolutely! It opens the door for follow-up questions and deeper connection.
Precisely. And that's our next focus. Once you've shared your interests, how do you keep the conversation going? How do you react to what someone else has said, and then turn it back to them or find common ground? Precisely. And to build on that, let's quickly solidify the grammar behind expressing these likes and dislikes. Understanding the correct structure for verbs of preference is absolutely key to sounding natural.
That's a great point, Emily. It's easy to get those mixed up sometimes, especially when you're speaking quickly.
Yes, knowing whether to use the ing form or to-plus verb can definitely be a bit tricky for learners.
You both hit on exactly what I mean. So, when we talk about things we like or dislike, we frequently use verbs like, love, enjoy, prefer, and hate. The crucial thing to remember is what comes immediately after these verbs. For most of them, like, love, prefer, and hate, you have a choice. You can follow them with either a gerund, which is the ing form of a verb, or an infinitive, which is to plus the base form of the verb.
So for example, I like reading or I like to read. Both sound perfectly fine to me.
Exactly, Paul. Both are perfectly correct and natural. So you can confidently say, I like reading historical fiction, or I like to read historical fiction. In general, they convey the same meaning when talking about general preferences.
And what about love? Can I say I love playing football and also I love to play football?
Yes, Hasib, you absolutely can. Just like, love works seamlessly with both the gerund and the infinitive. I love playing football and I love to play football are both excellent ways to express your deep enthusiasm. The choice often comes down to slight nuance. Sometimes the infinitive can feel a tiny bit more about the action itself, while the gerund feels more about the experience. But for everyday conversation, they are largely interchangeable when expressing general likes.
That's really helpful. So, I love cooking Italian dishes and I love to cook Italian dishes are both grammatically sound and convey the same enjoyment.
Precisely. Now, let's talk about a verb that's a little bit of a special case. Enjoy. Hasib, you said earlier, I enjoy being active. Can you try saying, I enjoy to be active?
I enjoy to be active. That really doesn't sound quite right to my ear. It feels incomplete somehow.
You've got it, Hasib. Your intuition is spot on. Enjoy is almost exclusively followed by the gerund, ing form. So we must say, I enjoy playing football. I enjoy cooking. I enjoy going for walks. We typically don't use to plus verb after enjoy.
That's a very important distinction to remember. So, I enjoy reading is correct, but I enjoy to read would be considered incorrect in standard English.
Absolutely, Paul. That's the main exception among these common verbs of preference. It's a very useful rule for our listeners to internalize to avoid common errors. Let's practice it together. Listeners, repeat after me, making sure to use the ing form. I enjoy reading. And again, I enjoy playing sports.
It just sounds so much more natural and fluid with the ing form after enjoy.
It truly does. Now, what about hate? Does it follow the same flexible pattern as like and love, or is it more like enjoy?
I think it's flexible. I could say I hate doing laundry or I hate to do laundry. Both seem perfectly acceptable to me.
You're absolutely spot on, Mark. Hate works just like and love. You can use either the gerund or the infinitive. So, I hate doing chores or I hate to do chores are both correct.
So to recap, for like, love, prefer, and hate, both the ing form and to plus verb are generally fine for general preferences. But for enjoy, It's pretty much always the ing form.
You've summarized it beautifully, Hasib. That's the key takeaway. It's a small grammatical point, but mastering it makes a significant difference in sounding fluent and natural. Let's quickly review some common sentence structures using these verbs. For expressing general preferences, you can typically say, I like, love, prefer, hate, plus gerund, ing form. For example, I love cooking. Or, I like, love, prefer, hate, plus to, plus verb, infinitive. For example, I like to cook. And remember, the special rule for enjoy. Enjoy, I enjoy, plus gerund, ing form. For example, I enjoy cooking.
So, when I said earlier, I like to read historical fiction, that was using the infinitive form correctly.
And when I said, I like to play football, that was also an infinitive. But I could just as easily say, I like playing football.
Exactly. You're both demonstrating it perfectly. The flexibility is there for most of these verbs, but enjoy remains your friendly exception. So, listeners, when you're talking about your hobbies and what you like to do, feel confident using either structure for like, love, prefer, and hate. Just keep that specific rule for enjoy firmly in mind. This grammar point is foundational because it underpins so many conversations about personal interests and daily activities. It helps you express yourself clearly and correctly. Now that we've got that grammatical clarity, let's seamlessly transition back to our conversation flow. We were just discussing how to keep the conversation going after you've shared your own interests. We want to make sure our listeners know how to not only answer questions effectively, but also how to engage others in a dynamic and interesting way.
So, moving from just stating your own likes to actively asking about someone else's and then reacting to their answers?
Precisely, Paul. And then, how to react to their answers in a way that shows genuine interest and encourages them to share even more, perhaps finding common ground or exploring new topics.
So, Hasib, hearing about your football league, it sounds quite intense. How often do you train or play, besides the weekend game?
Good question, Paul. We usually have one training session during the week, on a Tuesday evening. It's a good chance to work on tactics and fitness.
That's a great follow-up question, Paul. It dives deeper into the commitment involved.
So, with training in games, that's a significant chunk of your week dedicated to football. Do you ever get tired of it, or is the passion always there?
Sometimes, after a particularly tough game or a rainy training session, I might feel a bit drained. But the feeling of playing with the team and the camaraderie always brings me back. The passion definitely outweighs any fatigue.
Camaraderie is a wonderful word there, Hasib, describing that feeling of friendship and trust among a group.
Thanks, Emily. It's a big part of why I love team sports. Paul, speaking of unwinding, when you're reading, do you prefer physical books or do you use an e-reader?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I'm definitely a physical book person. There's something about the feel of the pages and the smell of a new book that an e-reader just can't replicate for me.
I completely understand that. I feel the same way about magazines or newspapers.
It's a classic preference, Paul. And Hasib, you're doing a great job asking specific, open-ended questions that invite more detail.
Hasib, earlier you mentioned photography and how you love capturing moments, especially street photography. What kind of gear do you use? Do you have a fancy camera, or do you mostly use your phone?
Mostly my phone, actually. Modern phone cameras are so good now. I do have a small mirrorless camera that I use sometimes for more serious outings, but the best camera is always the one you have with you, right?
That's a very true saying in photography. It's all about capturing the moment, not necessarily having the most expensive equipment.
That's really cool. So, when you're doing street photography, do you ever ask people if you can take their picture, or is it more about candid shots?
Mostly candid shots, observing people in their natural environment. If someone is clearly posing or performing, I might ask, but I generally try to be discreet and not interrupt the flow of life.
That's a great insight into your process, Hasib. It shows respect for the subjects.
I can see how that would be a very rewarding hobby. Seeing the world through a different lens.
It really is. It makes me appreciate the small details. Paul, you mentioned going for walks to clear your head. Do you ever listen to music or podcasts, or is it purely for the quiet reflection?
Sometimes I listen to a podcast, especially if it's a longer walk. But quite often, I just enjoy the quiet. It's nice to just be present with my thoughts and the sounds of nature or the city.
I get that. Sometimes silence is exactly what you need.
That balance is key, isn't it? Sometimes we seek stimulation, sometimes peace.
Exactly, Emily. And speaking of balance, Hasib, with all your active sports and cooking, do you ever have a completely quiet, do-nothing kind of day? Or is that just not your style?
That's a good question, Paul. I do have those days, especially if I've had a really busy week. I might just spend it catching up on sleep, watching a movie, or maybe doing some light reading, similar to you.
It's great to hear that even active people need their downtime. It's all about what recharges you.
It sounds like we have more in common than I initially thought, Hasib, even if our primary hobbies are different.
I think so too, Paul. We both appreciate good food and the value of a bit of quiet time, even if mine is often after a lot of activity.
That's a fantastic observation, Hasib. It really highlights how conversations about hobbies can reveal surprising connections. Paul, earlier you talked about cooking Italian dishes and making sauces from scratch. Did you learn to cook from someone, or are you self-taught?
Mostly self-taught, actually. I've picked up tips from cooking shows and online recipes, and then just experimented in the kitchen. My grandmother was a great cook, but I didn't learn directly from her.
That's impressive, especially making sauces from scratch. It takes patience to learn that way.
It certainly does. And self-taught is a useful phrase for our listeners to describe how they learned a skill without formal instruction.
Paul, when you're exploring new parts of the city on foot, do you have a specific goal in mind, like finding a new cafe? Or is it truly just wandering and seeing what you discover?
It's usually a bit of both. Sometimes I'll have a specific cafe in mind that I want to try, but often it's just about seeing what interesting streets or shops I stumble upon. The serendipity of it is part of the fun.
Serendipity is a beautiful word there, Paul, meaning a fortunate discovery by accident. It really conveys that sense of joyful exploration.
I love that feeling of just stumbling upon something unexpected. That's often how I find interesting subjects for my street photography.
See, there's another point of connection, Hasib. Even though our main activities are different, the feeling we get from them, like the joy of discovery, is very similar.
Absolutely. It's not just about what you do, but how it makes you feel.
You both are demonstrating perfectly how to find that common ground, even when your stated hobbies seem quite different. It's about asking those deeper why and how questions. Hasib, with your South Asian cooking, do you ever host dinner parties or cook for friends and family? Or is it more of a personal passion?
Oh, definitely. I love cooking for friends and family. There's nothing better than seeing people enjoy a meal you've prepared, especially something like biryani that takes so much effort. It's a real social occasion.
I can imagine. I'd certainly love to try your biryani sometime, Hasib. My Italian sauces feel a bit humble in comparison.
I'm sure your Italian sauces are fantastic, Paul. We should definitely swap recipes sometime.
What a great idea! That's a perfect example of how hobbies can bring people together and even lead to new shared experiences. Paul, you mentioned catching movies with friends. Do you have a particular genre you prefer when you go to the cinema, or are you open to anything?
I'm quite open, actually. If I'm with friends, it's more about the shared experience than the specific movie. But if I had to choose, a good drama or a clever thriller is always a safe bet.
I'm a big fan of action movies myself, but I agree, the company makes the experience.
And that's another important aspect of talking about hobbies, distinguishing between what you like to do alone and what you enjoy with others. So, Hasib, when you're playing football in your local league, is there a particular position you play?
I mostly play as a midfielder. I like being involved in both defense and attack, helping to control the game. It's a lot of running, but it's very satisfying.
That makes sense for an active person like you. It sounds like you're right in the thick of the action.
In the thick of the action is a great idiom for being in the most exciting or busy part of an event.
It really is. It's where I feel most useful on the pitch.
So, Paul, if you had to choose between a full day of reading or a full day of exploring a new part of the city on foot, which would you pick?
That's a tough one. I think I'd lean towards exploring a new part of the city. As much as I love reading, the chance to discover new places and observe new things, especially if the weather is good, is just too tempting.
I can see why. There's a certain energy to discovering new places.
And that goes back to the idea of what truly recharges you, Paul. Even for quiet activities, there's an element of engagement. Hasib, if your football match was canceled due to bad weather, what would be your go-to alternative to still feel active and fulfilled that day?
If football's off, I'd probably hit the gym for a good workout or maybe go for a long run. If I'm feeling creative, I might spend some time editing photos or trying a new complex recipe in the kitchen.
So still keeping that active and creative energy going, even without the football.
Exactly. It shows a consistent theme in your interests, Hasib. You both have such distinct yet equally fulfilling ways of spending your free time. This conversation has been a wonderful example for our listeners of how to move beyond simple answers and truly engage with someone about their hobbies. You've asked follow-up questions, shared personal insights, found common ground, and even made plans to swap recipes. That's the essence of natural conversation. Now, let's think about how our listeners can start to initiate these kinds of conversations themselves. What are some good opening lines or strategies they can use to get someone talking about their interests?
That's a crucial next step. It's one thing to answer, but another to start the ball rolling.
I think a good strategy is to observe first. Maybe comment on something someone is wearing or doing, then transition to a question about their interests.
That's a brilliant point, Hasib. Observation can be a fantastic natural opener. For example, I noticed you're carrying a camera. Are you into photography?
Or, that's a really interesting book you're reading. What genre do you usually go for?
Exactly. It feels less like an interrogation and more like genuine curiosity.
And that leads us to another important area for beginners: avoiding common pitfalls when expressing their own likes or asking about others. Sometimes grammatical errors can unintentionally make a conversation feel less natural.
I can imagine. What are some of the most common mistakes you hear, Emily?
One of the big ones we actually just touched upon: the correct verb form after enjoy. Many learners might say, I enjoy to play football, or I enjoy to read.
Ah, yes, we discussed that enjoy needs the ing form, the gerund. So, I enjoy playing, or I enjoy reading.
Precisely, Hasib. That's a very common one to trip up on. Remember, enjoy is almost always followed by the ing form. So it's I enjoy cooking. I enjoy listening to music. I enjoy going for walks.
It sounds so much more natural when you use the gerund with enjoy.
It really does. Another common mistake is with prepositions, especially when expressing interest. People might say, I'm interested to photography, instead of I'm interested in photography.
So, it's always interested in something?
Yes, absolutely. It's interested in. You are interested in a topic, a hobby, a person. So, I'm interested in learning new languages. I'm interested in playing sports. It's a very consistent structure.
That's a good one to remember. Prepositions can be tricky because they don't always translate directly from other languages.
Exactly, Paul. And speaking of prepositions, sometimes learners might say, I like for reading, instead of just I like reading, or I like to read. The for is unnecessary there.
So just I like followed by the gerund or infinitive. No extra prepositions needed.
You've got it. Keep it simple. I like reading. I like to read. Another common issue is using too few descriptive words. Just saying I like books is fine. But I like historical fiction because it helps me escape is so much more engaging.
That goes back to what we discussed about adding details. It gives the other person more to work with.
And it shows more of your personality.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to share why you like something or how it makes you feel. Using words like rewarding, relaxing, challenging, exciting can really bring your descriptions to life.
So instead of just I like cooking, it could be I like cooking because I find it very relaxing.
Or playing football is challenging, but I find it incredibly rewarding.
Perfect examples, both of you. Those adjectives and adverbs add so much depth. And for those who are just starting out, sometimes the mistake is simply being too shy to speak. or worrying too much about making a mistake.
That's a big hurdle, I think. Fear of sounding silly.
But everyone makes mistakes, especially when learning a new language. It's part of the process.
Exactly. My biggest tip for overcoming this is simply to practice. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for communication. Start with simple sentences and gradually build up your confidence.
Even just practicing in your head or talking to yourself in English can help build that muscle memory.
Or finding a language exchange partner. That's a great way to practice in a low-pressure environment.
Those are both fantastic suggestions. And remember the variety of phrases we covered earlier. I'm into, I'm keen on, it's my thing. Experiment with these to make your language more natural and varied.
So instead of always saying I like, try I'm keen on or I'm a big fan of.
It makes you sound more confident and fluent.
It truly does. And when you're asking others, remember the different levels of formality. What do you like to do is always safe. But with friends, what do you get up to? Or what's been keeping you busy? Sounds very natural.
Adapting your question to the person and the situation.
It shows you're comfortable with the language.
One more common pitfall? Sometimes beginners give very short one-word answers, which can make the conversation fizzle out quickly.
So if someone asks, do you like sports? Just saying yes isn't very helpful.
Instead, you could say, yes, I love playing football, especially with my local team. That gives them something to follow up on.
Exactly. Always try to add a little bit more, even if it's just one extra phrase. Think of it as leaving a little breadcrumb for the other person to follow.
Like, yes, I do. I enjoy reading historical fiction.
Or, yes, I do. My hobby is photography.
Perfect. That immediately provides a hook for the other person to ask, oh, what kind of historical fiction? Or, what do you like to photograph? So, to recap the common mistakes and how to fix them. 1. Remember, enjoy plus ing form, gerund, not enjoy to plus verb. 2. Use interested in, not interested to. 3. Avoid unnecessary prepositions like for after like. 4. Add details and descriptive words. Why and how you like something. 5. Use varied vocabulary. For example, I'm into, I'm keen on, my thing. 6. Give more than one-word answers. Add a detail or a reason. 7. Most importantly, don't be afraid to practice and make mistakes.
That's a really comprehensive and helpful summary, Emily. It covers a lot of ground.
Yes, it makes those common errors very clear and gives practical solutions.
And remember, listeners, the more you practice, the more natural these structures and phrases will become. It's like building muscle memory for your language skills.
And the more confident you'll feel when talking about yourself.
Which makes every conversation more enjoyable.
Absolutely. So don't just listen. Try saying these phrases out loud. Practice answering the questions we've posed to Paul and Hasib, and then try asking them to a friend or even to yourself. Now, with these tips in mind for avoiding common mistakes and building confidence, let's move on to how you can actively engage and keep the conversation flowing. We've talked about asking questions, but how about responding to what someone else says? How do you show you're listening and interested? So, we've covered a lot today, building your toolkit for discussing hobbies. We started by exploring various ways to express what you like to do, using versatile phrases like, I like to, I enjoy, I'm into, my hobby is, I'm a big fan of, what I really love is, and I spend a lot of my time.
And we learned the important grammatical distinction. Enjoy, always taking the ing form. Unlike like or love, which offer more flexibility.
Yes, that was a crucial reminder. And we also discussed a range of ways to ask others about their interests, from direct questions like, what do you like to do, to more casual ones like, what do you get up to, or what's been keeping you busy?
Absolutely. And we highlighted some fantastic vocabulary that adds color and detail to your descriptions, such as unwind, get lost in, clear my head, active person, local league, from scratch, capturing moments, recharge, and those natural informal phrases like my thing and keen on.
And remember those common pitfalls Emily pointed out? Like using interested in, not interested to. and the importance of adding details to your answers to keep the conversation flowing.
Exactly. It's all about making your conversations richer, more natural, and more engaging for everyone involved.
Now, listeners, this is where your active participation truly begins. We've given you a comprehensive toolbox full of phrases, grammatical insights, and conversational strategies. Your homework, if you will, is to put them into practice.
Don't just listen passively. Make it an active learning experience. Try saying these phrases out loud, perhaps while looking in a mirror.
Think deeply about your own hobbies and interests. How would you describe them using the different phrases we've discussed today, adding those vivid details and expressions of feeling?
We'd absolutely love to hear from you. Share your favorite hobbies and how you describe them in the comments section below. Or, even better, try using these phrases in a real conversation this week with a friend, a language exchange partner, or even just talking to yourself in English to build that muscle memory.
The more consistently you practice, the more confident and comfortable you'll become in expressing yourself.
And the more natural and fluent your English will sound in real-life situations.
Paul and Hasib, thank you both so much for sharing your insights and demonstrating these conversations so naturally. It's been incredibly helpful and engaging for our listeners.
It was my pleasure, Emily. I always enjoy our chats.
Mine too! And it's always fun to talk about what makes us tick.
Indeed. And on that note, we're going to wrap up today's episode of Daily English Talk. We hope you found this deep dive into talking about what you like to do truly beneficial for your English learning journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to hit that like button, share it with anyone who might find it useful, and subscribe to our channel for more practical English lessons. Join us next time for another exciting topic on Daily English Talk. Until then, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep talking.